When we think of a narcissistic person, we oftentimes think of somebody who just goes around creating stress and chaos in the lives of those around them, which is absolutely true, by the way. This stress and this chaos takes a huge toll on the lives of victims, oftentimes leaving victims with stress-related illnesses and diseases that they have to learn to manage throughout the rest of their lives. Thanks a lot, narcissists. But what if I told you that this narcissistic behavior not only has a negative impact on the lives of victims, but this narcissistic behavior has an extreme impact on the life of the narcissistic person, oftentimes even leading them into an early and untimely death. Now, I know this is true because I watched my father live this life all the way up until his early and untimely sudden death. My name is Kevin, and this is The Royal We. Now, before I do continue, I want to let you know that I'm here to support you. Down in the description box below this video, you'll find access for one-on-one appointments with me. I take telephone calls and video calls through Zoom, FaceTime, and WhatsApp. Also, the Royal We Private membership is available for you, where you get daily support not only by me, but a growing community of people all over the world. There's a workout program to help you get into shape. There's weekly fellowship and so much more, all within the privacy of a members-only app. So head on down to the description box and get started in the Royal We private membership for more support. Now, before I do get started, I want to let you know that this message is not about pitying or having sympathy for narcissistic people in this life. They choose their life, and they will receive the consequences. This message is about you and I deepening our understanding of what we're dealing with narcissistic people. But there's something else I want to do with this. I want to validate you. It's really easy to be hurt by a narcissistic person and then watch them just bail, jump ship, and act like they're living their best life, posting pictures on Facebook and Instagram of how good their life is. But I assure you, narcissistic people get away with absolutely nothing in this life. And what most narcissistic people don't realize is that they're actually speeding up their life, and they're speeding up death. There's plenty of medical research out there that suggests there's a clear connection between stress and serious health issues. As a matter of fact, there's one study that talks about how 3 or more antecedent life crisis events doubles the chance of a person developing coronary heart disease. What is 3 or more antecedent life crisis events? This means a repeating life crisis, whether a crisis at home, a crisis with family, a financial crisis. All it takes is 3 or more of these, and a person's chance of developing coronary heart disease doubles. Now, think about this for just a moment and think about the narcissistic person that you've been dealing with. Because here's where it gets interesting. Narcissistic people are notoriously known for creating stress and chaos in the lives of other people. But here's the truth. They're not just creating the stress and the chaos in the lives of others. They're sharing it. That's right. The stress and the chaos that narcissistic people bring into the lives of others comes from within them. It's an internal stress that they live with. It's an internal chaos that they live with. And every time they go into a relationship and they share this stress and their chaos with you, and they bring and create stress and chaos into your life, they're creating yet another antecedent life crisis event in their own life. I want to help you to understand what the narcissistic person is really doing with you. I think this will really help deepen your understanding of a narcissistic person. You know how your household accumulates garbage? And once a week, you rely on a garbage man to come and take some of that garbage away from you. Otherwise, your house will just continue to accumulate it, and it will overrun your house, and it'll stink, and you'll eventually die from all the mold and all the yuckiness, right? Well, a narcissistic person is that house constantly accumulating garbage and trash. And they view you in a relationship as a garbage collector. Simply somebody to offload their trash and their garbage to. They're sharing their accumulation of garbage with you. They rely on you for that. They're not in a relationship with you because they love you or they need you or they care about you. They simply need someone to offload all their garbage to. But the point is that this garbage belongs to them. Their hate, their animosity, their frustrations in life, it's theirs. It's internal, which means they are doomed to repeat this cycle of stressful, chaotic relationships. And this is why narcissistic people are those that create these antecedent life crisis events from relationship to relationship to relationship, bringing and sharing their stress and their chaos in each and every relationship they go into, which keeps narcissistic people trapped in experiencing life crisis events over and over and over again. You can see how this is speeding up their process to an untimely death. This now makes sense to me when I think about my father. Now, I've made a video talking about my narcissistic father's last words before dying, and I'll put a link right here. This gives you a glimpse into how narcissistic people view their life and why they act the way they do. But what I didn't touch on in that video too much is the cause of my father's death, which was far too early in his life. He was the youngest of 3 brothers. But it makes sense as I look at his life and I now consider the 3 or more antecedent life crisis events. My father was on wife number 4 when he died. My mother, when he left, creating the stress and the chaos of that relationship, and he left and went into another marriage, bringing the stress and the chaos, and then that marriage fell apart. That woman actually left him into another marriage. The stress and the chaos crept up in that marriage, and that woman left him. And then his last wife, wife number 4, which they were only married just a little while before he had a sudden heart attack. You see, it makes absolute sense to me. I can see how the 3 or more antecedent life crisis events absolutely double the chances of somebody having a coronary heart disease. I watched as my father lived in this pattern of narcissistic behavior. I've seen firsthand the damage that it does to them internal to live with this stress, to live with this chaos, sharing it with other people, keeping them trapped in this place of stress and constant urgency and constant chaos. Ultimately, it just leads them into an early death. It speeds up the process of death even. Now, obviously, this doesn't apply to all narcissistic personality types because there are all kinds out there. But there's one specific type of narcissistic person that this is more than likely to happen to. And it's the same type of personality as my dad, and that is type A narcissistic personalities. Type A personalities are known for aggressiveness, competitiveness, and a constant sense of urgency. And that was exactly the type of person my father was. Very aggressive in his nature, very competitive in his nature, and always living in this urgency. There's a lot of evidence that suggests that these types of personalities not only create stress and anxiety and chaos in the lives of those around them, but because of their constant aggression, their constant competitiveness, their constant sense of urgency, they are trapped within the stress and the chaos of their own lives all the time. They're not only stressing everybody else out, they're stressing themselves out constantly. Now, as we mentioned before, this type of stress and chaos not only takes a toll on a person mentally and emotionally, but the physical consequences of living in this stress and the chaos. There's tons of medical research out there that suggests that it even affects your serum cholesterol levels. That's right. We've been told that your serum cholesterol is affected by what you eat, having a cigar, smoking, and yes, these things can in fact impact your body in negative ways, but the number one thing, according to medical research out there, that's going to have a huge impact on someone's cholesterol, even, serum cholesterol that is stress and chaos. This can lead to all kinds of heart issues. Again, I know this because it makes sense. My father otherwise lived a pretty healthy life. He worked out. He wasn't into drugs. He wasn't too much into bad stuff in life, but he constantly lived through aggression, competitiveness, and urgency. And that in combination with 3 or more antecedent life crises as a result of the constant aggression, a result of his constant competition a result of his lifestyle of urgency and going from relationship to relationship to relationship, trying to offload all of this garbage in his life? That is what ultimately led into his heart failing. So what I want to leave you with is this. While it seems that narcissistic people are almost invincible as they go around bringing their aggression and their competitiveness and their urgency into relationships, creating stress and creating chaos and leaving you in shambles, leaving you to deal with now these stress-related illnesses that you've experienced for the first time, I want to let you know that narcissistic people are getting away with absolutely nothing. Pay no attention to their posts on social media. Oh, look at my life. I'm enjoying it, this and that. My father used to post that stuff too. The reality is they're not getting away with it. They're dying, as a matter of fact. Even as they're smiling on their social media posts, even as looks like they're skating free, getting out of a situation where they created stress and chaos and they're moving on, living their best life. No, they're dying at a rapid rate. Narcissistic people are not invincible. They're not invincible to the stress and the chaos that they are not just creating in the lives of others, but they're sharing in it. Remember, the stress and the chaos is theirs. Yes, they shared it with you, and it hurt you bad, and it created some stress-related illnesses in your own life. But they're living with it, and they have no choice but to take it with them from relationship to relationship to relationship. And all it takes is 3 or more of these relationships living out of that, and death will be knocking on their door. I've seen it happen. I know that this message is difficult for many of you, and this is why I'm here to support you. Down in the description box, you'll find access for one-on-one appointments with me. I take telephone calls and video calls through Zoom, FaceTime, and WhatsApp. Remember, you don't need to be the garbage collector for any narcissistic person. Don't let anybody offload their stress and their chaos into your life. The moment you see somebody living out of the stress and chaos and aggression and competitiveness and urgency, take it seriously, because not only are they going to bring the stress and chaos into your life, but you're witnessing somebody who is rapidly approaching their own demise, their own death, their own sudden cardiac issue. And you don't want to be any part of that. And you don't even want to watch that happen. So protect yourself. Shut off relationships like that, especially if you're a person who values peace, who values calmness, who values togetherness. Don't make any room for this narcissistic type A personality, full of aggression, full of competitiveness, full of this wild urgency that does nothing but create stress and chaos. This is the narcissistic person you want nothing to do with. All right? If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe, would you? That's the way that this message gets shared. Like this video, hit the bell notification so you don't miss any future Royal We content. I'll be back with more videos for you right here on the Royal We. Check out one of these videos before you leave, because the YouTube algorithm is recommending it to you. There's always that. I'll be back with more. Don't forget, Royal We private membership down in the description box. I want to see you in class. Bye.